Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Happy Thursday. I think we have had a trying week so far, some of us not so much because we had a long weekend. We would have finished the first day of work, and being a short weekend, some of us will be looking forward to the weekend. Recuperating and recovering from the long weekend, could be trying to get back into the groove of things. So to talk about that, I thought I'll touch upon something interesting, which is about something about personal knowledge management. In that community, there's a person called Tiago Forte, who's very famous for he's the guy who came out with this thing called building a second brain, or BASB. His methodology focuses on helping people using digital tools, which is including AI now, to help you enhance your creativity output and manage information more effectively. In today's world, with all the social media and AI and quick information and quick cycle news, it's very hard to keep your mind focused and to keep all your information together, whatever you deem as important, and to manage it effectively and to use it when it's required. So his methodology talks about emphasizing on capturing it, organizing it, and sharing it in a systematic way to help you grow and improve yourself in personal knowledge and in management of that knowledge. So his first method which he came out with initially was called PARA. That stands for Project Areas, Resources and Archives. It is a system which is organizing digital information. Projects are tasks and endeavors that have a specific outcome or a deadline. So all of us have these things which are very specific in terms of a deadline or a specific outcome. So those are called projects. Areas he says are ongoing responsibilities or spheres of activity that need to be maintained over time. Those are things that never come to an end. It's part of what we have decided to take on as our responsibility. It's part of who we are. And we've tried and focus on spending time on this on a daily basis or a weekly, monthly basis, depending on the responsibility. And we try and maintain this over a period of time. Third thing is called the resources. Resources are topics or themes of ongoing interest, things which you are interested in, things which are in your purview, which you want to sit and educate yourself and increase your knowledge base. And for us, it could be value in investors, it could be knowledge about Warren Buffett, how to invest, investing strategies. So these all fall under resources. The last thing which he says are archives. These are inactive items which we gather together or put into one category, and we just want to retain them in case we need them in the future. So these are all the knowledge tools which we have, which we put to club them together, and we keep them in case we need them. He specifically talks this about PARA in maintaining your digital content. So when you have all your files, your emails, all your data on your computer, whomever you are, a coder, a freelance writer, a business developer, whatever your role is, he says you should break it down, all your data, digital data, into these four boxes. One is your project, things which are going, which have a deadline, which have an outcome. So you put all those into a certain box, a bin. Then you have your areas which are responsibilities, which are work related, could be anything related which is there on your digital environment. So you keep them into that bin, so you know where they are. Then the third bin is your resources. So if you're a programmer, like I said, a value investor, things which are related to your learning and your knowledge expansion, you put it into that as your resources, so you can go and look for your references. And the fourth thing is all the stuff which you're not really touching and using in your digital platform right now on your laptop, which he says you should throw it into that bin and keep it there in case you need to go back to it for any specific reason or some future reference you need. It's in that bin. This is what he started off with before he gets into the second half of which I'm going to talk about, which is what his book is based on, which is building the second brain. So this is what he started with, which is a very interesting concept. It's a very nice way to organize your digital content. Just-in-time project management is something which he came out with also, which is instead of trying to plan everything in advance, he says organize the information as they come and as you need them. So a lot of us tend to spend a lot of time preparing a plan. This is counterintuitive. We've always been told, spend a lot of time making your plan. You should spend more time in making your plan and less time executing it. That's always been the adage, and this is true. But in today's world, where everything is in flux and things are moving rapidly and things are changing rapidly, being agile is very important. So, for that, and from that lens, if you look at it, this idea of just-in-time project management is very useful. So, instead of trying to plan everything in advance and putting things into place and trying to work, this again goes back to what I was talking about yesterday. This whole notion of doing forecasting future growth, forecasting future profit, can't do it nowadays. This used to be a very easy thing to do during the times of Ben Graham. Not nowadays. The way our economy is, the way the world works today, this kind of forecasting doesn't make sense. And we all know it from experience, it doesn't make sense. So that same kind of ideology is what he's talking about here. So he says this approach, you capture and organize information as it comes and use it when you need it. So if you're looking at it in terms of a value investor, you look at your news, you read news, you look at quarterly annual results, and you go through the results and you keep organizing and looking at your investment portfolio based on that information as it's coming in. If you are a software engineer, as your project develops, as tools are developing, especially with AI now, you have to be agile. And as tools and what they call coding changes and the environment changes, you also have to adapt. And so keeping yourself agile and taking all the information which is coming to you and using it as it's needed, when it's needed, immediately, is what he's talking about. He's saying this idea is that we can't predict what information will be useful in the future. So it's better to have it in the system and allow easy retrieval as and when it's necessary. But mind you, be careful that you do not overburden yourself, because we have a tendency as humans that we like to categorize everything as possibly useful in some point of time. Some of us suffer that in extreme, some of us suffer it mildly, where we want to hoard things and keep things in case we need it. We tend to keep all our photographs like that, all our videos like that. You can see it in our personal lives. In professional life, you'll see us cluttered with our emails and PowerPoint presentations and codes, which we have reams of it saved here and there and everywhere, thinking in case we need it, it's there. So mind you, it is true what he says, that you should keep it information in a way which is easily retrievable and useful, and your plan should be agile. But at the same time, be careful not to hoard. That is something which I wanted to tell you from personal experience. And he also talks about the importance of note taking, that to digital note taking. He says all of us should move on to digital medias and digital ways of taking notes. He talks about his favorite platform, which is Evernote. There are many softwares which are available to create digital notes. I'm a person from old school. From my generation, I prefer a diary. I prefer physically writing things down, and I encourage all my boys to do this. Kesav and Karthi and all these guys are from their generation, where they believe everything should be stored on the phone. They keep making voice notes. They keep having, message notes. They WhatsApp information to themselves. So it's easy for them. So whichever way works. One is not trumped over the other, but there is an advantage with digital note-taking over the conventional, which I was talking about. In digital note-taking, thanks to cloud technology, it's retrievable whenever you want and however you want, and searching it is also vastly easier than the conventional way of writing in a notebook. If you have multiple notebooks and you keep flipping through them, you can spend quite a bit of time, if you're not very organized, looking for it. Meanwhile, if you have saved it digitally, it's very easy, even if you're not a very organized person like Kesav, to pull down whatever you're looking for by using keyword searches. So this is something to keep in mind. The last thing he touches upon, which I will say applies to everybody, is the importance of sharing. He says it's just not about personal knowledge and management, it's all about sharing with others. By sharing your knowledge, you actually give feedback to yourself, and you understand the knowledge better. Anand always talks about this being a Feynman's principle, where Feynman said, if you really want to test if you know a subject, is try and teach the subject. What is my endeavor in all this? Why do I come on YouTube, or I sit and chat with you guys on Instagram, LinkedIn, on Twitter, or physically when I meet you? Why do I do this? What do I have to gain? A lot of you might be wondering, what does Vinod have to gain from all this? What I have to gain is I relearn everything. I reassess everything I've learned. I explore the subjects which I've learned even more. I go deeper and I understand it even more. And I learn the nuances of the subject the more and more I talk about it. So this is the importance of sharing. So I strongly encourage you guys, whatever methodology you use, and if it's effective for you, do think about sharing it. It can be with your friends. If you're very shy and you're an introvert like Shashwat, keep it very close with just near and dear ones. If you're more like Kesav and you're ready to sit in front of a camera and record, I do encourage all of you to share it on YouTube, on Instagram, on whichever platform which you think is great. So rest of us can learn things from this. He does talk about, he puts all of these ideas down very nicely into a book called Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte, it's called. And in that, he talks about the code technique. The code technique is something which I'm going to talk about tomorrow in my podcast. So be sure you tune in tomorrow so we can continue talking about the code technique and what is the difference between the para and the code. Thanks for watching me today. I hope you have a wonderful day today, and I'll see you in the next one soon or shortly. Bye.